My dad left me almost everything in his will because I cared for him while he was sick. Now, my sister, who barely spoke to him for years, is calling me selfish and demanding half. Am I the bad guy? Posted by you/feisty_implement 6823. So, I, 28M, recently lost my father. It was a really tough time, but we knew it was coming because he had been sick for a while. Before he passed, he made it clear in his will that I would inherit the majority of his estate, including his house and a significant amount of money. My sister, 25F, would receive a smaller amount, mostly sentimental items and a bit of cash. Here's the thing, my sister and my dad didn't have a good relationship. She moved out when she was 18, and they barely spoke after that. My dad tried to reconnect several times, but she always shut him down. I, on the other hand, took care of him during his illness, visiting almost every day and handling all his medical appointments. Now, my sister is furious. She's calling me selfish and saying that it's unfair she got so little. She thinks I should split the inheritance 50-50. I told her I respected Dad's wishes and that I don't think it's my responsibility to change what he wanted, especially given the circumstances. She argues that family is family, and it's not fair to punish her for their estranged relationship, but I think it's not my fault they didn't get along. She had years to fix things with him, but she chose not to. My mom, they're divorced, is on her side, saying that I should do the right thing and give her more money to keep the peace. Some friends agree with her, while others think I'm justified in keeping what I was given. So, am I the jerk for not wanting to share my inheritance with my sister? Edit. I've seen some comments saying this sounds fake or that I'm leaving out key details, so let me clarify a few things. First, about my sister's estrangement, it wasn't something that happened overnight. After my parents' divorce, she sided heavily with my mom and gradually distanced herself from our dad. She blamed him for the split, and even though Dad tried to reconcile over the years, she was unwilling to meet him halfway. I'm not saying she's a bad person, divorces are messy, but it's not like Dad cut her off for no reason. Second, I know some of you might think Dad was playing favorites, but I don't see it that way. I think he divided things based on who was there for him in his final years. It wasn't about punishment, it was about recognition. Lastly, for those saying I'm conveniently painting myself as the golden child, I promise that's not my intention. My sister had her reasons for stepping back, but I stepped up because I felt it was the right thing to do. That's why this situation is so hard. I'm trying to honor my dad's wishes, but I also don't want to completely ruin my relationship with my sister. Hope this clears up some of the gaps. Q&A. Why did my parents get divorced? My parents' divorce happened when I was 12 and my sister was 9. It wasn't one big event, it was a combination of things. My dad worked long hours running his own business, and my mom felt neglected. She also said Dad had a controlling personality, which caused a lot of tension. On the other hand, Dad felt Mom wasn't supportive of his career and resented him for working so much. Eventually, they just couldn't make it work, and they decided to separate. My sister blamed Dad for the divorce because, in her eyes, he was the one who chose work over family. Mom didn't exactly help, she would make comments about how Dad cared more about his business than his kids. I think this shaped my sister's perspective and made her more distant from him. Why were my sister and Dad so conflicted? After the divorce, I stayed with Dad, while my sister lived with Mom. Dad tried to stay involved in her life, but the distance, both physical and emotional, made things harder. Over time, my sister started avoiding him. For example, he'd call her, but she wouldn't pick up. He'd send gifts or letters, and she'd never acknowledge them. One of the big breaking points came when she graduated high school. Dad showed up to her graduation uninvited because he wanted to celebrate her, but she got upset and accused him of trying to make it about himself. After that, they barely spoke. Why didn't my sister visit when Dad was sick? This is something only my sister can fully explain, but I think it goes back to their strained relationship. By the time Dad got sick, they hadn't spoken in years. I reached out to her multiple times, telling her how serious things were, but she said she wasn't ready to see him. Dad was hurt but never angry, he just said, she has to come on her own terms. Unfortunately, she never did. Why didn't Dad just leave everything 50-50? I asked myself this too. I think Dad felt the inheritance should reflect the relationships he had. He knew I had been there for him throughout his illness, and he wanted to recognize that. At the same time, he didn't want to completely exclude my sister, which is why he left her sentimental items and some money. I don't think it was about punishing her, I think he just wanted to acknowledge the reality of our family dynamic. Hope this clears up some of the questions people have been asking. Let me know if there's anything else I can explain. Top comments. Commenter 1, so family is family now, but it wasn't when your dad tried to have a relationship with her? Honor Dad's wishes. NTA. Commenter 2, NTA. Your dad made his wishes pretty clear in his will, and respecting those is totally valid. It sounds like you were the one in the trenches with him during his tough times, which probably factored into his decision. It's rough that your sister is upset, but redistributing the inheritance isn't a Monopoly game where you can shuffle the properties to keep the peace. Maybe try explaining to her that it's about respecting what your dad wanted, not playing favorites. If peace needs to be bought, maybe it's priced too high. Commenter 3, NTA. You're respecting your dad's wishes, and that's key. It's tough she didn't get as much, but like you said, she had time to mend things and chose not to. You can't just rewrite wills to make everyone happy. That defeats their purpose. Commenter 4, interesting how family is family when dividing up the inheritance but not so much when her father was alive trying to mend the relationship with her. Commenter 5, tell your sister and your mom that you would be fine if your mom left more to her since the relationship focus went that way, but that you also will expect your sister to be the one that steps up and takes care of your mom when the time comes. NTA, update. 2 weeks later. Thanks for all the responses on my original post. After thinking it through, and reading a lot of your comments, I've decided I'm not giving my sister anything beyond what Dad left her. His will was clear, and I'm not going to disrespect his wishes to appease someone who didn't even bother to visit him when he was dying. I tried to be reasonable and explain my side, but it's pointless. My sister is still sending me nasty texts, calling me names, and acting like I stole from her. My mom is no better. She's basically turned this into a full-on guilt trip, saying things like, "You're tearing this family apart," and "You're just like your father." Honestly, if being just like Dad means standing my ground, I'll take it as a compliment. At this point, I'm done trying to keep the peace. They can say whatever they want about me, I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to do what I want with the inheritance and move on with my life. If that means cutting some people off, so be it. To everyone who said I'm not the jerk, thank you. It feels good to have some validation. For now, I'm focusing on honoring Dad's memory and making the most of what he left me. We'll see where this goes next, but I'm not backing down. Top comments. Commenter 1, tell your mom you're happy that you aren't like her. Hit her where it hurts. Commenter 2, glad you're following Dad's wishes. Sounds like your mom and sister only care about the money. Time to block them. Commenter 3, so your mother and sister were estranged from your father due to him prioritizing his work but want to gain from the fruits of that hard work? The mental gymnastics are real with them. It's not often people wear their hypocrisy so loudly. You're doing the right thing. Commenter 4, good on you for standing your ground. You're doing the right thing. Good luck.